I'm standing here on a boardwalk in Atlantic City, and it's where I remember Chicken Bone Beach. It's famous all over the world, and I'm happy to have one of its contenders here. Give me your full name.
Rodney Braithwaite.
And you were born here?
I was born here in 1955, and me and my father came here every Sunday in the summertime, and we stayed here from 11 o'clock to close in the evening until they threw us off.
You said that because this was where people would spend the whole day.
Yes, we would come here early in the morning. We'd eat here. We'd swim in the water. My father bought me a kite here one time, and then everybody had a kite. Okay, and I had a great time here.
Surprisingly, it looks kind of small when you stand up here and look from where the steel pier was. At the steel pier?
That's the $1 million pier at that time.
The $1 million pier, just over here
to Convention Hall.
To Convention Hall. That's all we had.
That's all we had. We had a little space, and I'm gonna tell you,
we made it rock.
And on Sundays there would be 500-600 people out here all day, and in the afternoons they would some kind of way the cards would come out, and then the money would come out, and they would stay here until the cops told us it's time to go home.
And you stayed here.
And we stayed here. Well, I had to go when my father said to go. I was just a little guy. I was only 5-6 years old.
And they brought you down.
My father took me everywhere in Atlantic City. He hid nothing from me. Thank you, Bob.
Okay. But I remembered it being a joyous place, and you always, if you had any question in your mind, who was in town?
Everybody that was here, we had the Club Harlem, the Wonder Garden, and everybody from Sammy Davis Jr. to Stevie Wonder, the Four Tops, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis, but they would come down.
They came and slummed?
Actually, they came and slummed, yeah. You'd be surprised what they did.
But everyone had a good time, and it was open to anyone who wanted to come.
Exactly. There was no prejudice among us, even we can say a lot of things about Atlantic City, but we won't.
Okay, but I'm so glad you remember, because I remember it very well, and it's a happy memory, you know?
Well, it was a thing. In those days, the beach was what we did in the summertime. It was also almost like a babysitting service. Our parents could bring us down here, and we'd run around all day until we dropped.
And you knew everybody.
And we knew everybody, and everybody knew us, and everybody was our mothers and fathers. And there was plenty of food, along with a little alcohol and a few other things, I don't know.
Well, this is only half of the story, and we're going to give you more. Come with me. From the 20s to about the 50s, the late 50s, the beach that I used to come to in Atlantic City was very famous and very well known. It was called one thing, but today and now we're going to get the real story behind it from Mr. Ralph Hunter.
Thank you, Trudy. We're so delighted to have you here at the African American Museum today. And I'd love to talk to you about Missouri Avenue Beach. Missouri Avenue Beach was a very, very important part of Atlantic City, and especially towards African American citizens. From the beginning of time, the late 1800s, African Americans were permitted to go to any beach at all in Atlantic City. Yes, that's correct. But in 1927, the city fathers and the hotel owners met, and they said they were getting complaints about having blacks on their beaches and their water. So they went to a meeting at Seaview Country Club in 1927, of which we have the documents of, and they voted to take all the black people off of the beaches and put them on Missouri Avenue Beach. And why they chose Missouri Avenue Beach was in front of Boardwalk Hall, which is City Hall, the convention center, and that was owned by the city of Atlantic City. So the hotel owners couldn't complain about that, and that became Missouri Avenue Beach. So from 1927 on through the 60s, the African Americans went there. And when the Voting Act was passed, civil rights in 1964, that cleared that all up, and African Americans could go to any beach at all. And quite often they no longer go there to that particular beach, but a lot of people go uptown where you and I hang out at.
Okay, you know where we hung out.
Yes.
Okay, we used to call it a different name,
yes,
but there's a reason that you want to change that image.
Yeah, well, the reason behind it, being a historian, I just want to be able to tell the correct story. And the correct story, as far as history is concerned, is that one was said that they were cleaning the beaches on Missouri Avenue Beach, and they found chicken bones in the beach, and they nicknamed it Chicken Bone Beach. Now, It was not an African American who found those chicken bones, by the way. And my problem with
Just
that.
the one that ate it, huh? Come on, you have to have a sense of humor now.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Trudy. So my problem that I have with that, there are beaches all throughout Atlantic City, and all the beaches are named after streets. New York Avenue Beach is named New York Avenue Beach, Connecticut, and throughout. And as far as you go up downtown to Margate or Vintner or Longport. And my question I ask of anyone who's listening is that if the beaches in Margate were called Lox and Bagel Beach, would Jewish people be upset? I'll let them answer that question. If the beaches in Ducktown were called Lox and Meatballs and Spaghetti, would the Italian American people be upset? Or if they're further down beach, if they had an Irish beach that was called Cabbage and whatever, would those people be upset? And my finding is, yes, they would be very upset. But why African Americans are not concerned about continuously to use the nickname of Chicken Bone Beach, it's beyond my comprehension.
Is there any attempt to change that?
Oh, no. I think the word Chicken Bone Beach is instilled in the minds of hundreds of thousands of people from all over the East Coast, and they recognize that name. But I just wanted to give the correct assumption, to know what the real deal is about the name of the beach.
And there you have it from Mr. Ralph Hunter. Well, Dolores, you're looking at yourself up there.
Yes.
And why? You're a part of the whole history of Missouri Beach.
I love it. I'm an input, but we transplant, whatever they want to call it. But I've been coming to Atlantic City since 1958. I now live here.
And what do you remember about those days?
Good old days. We were all together. We had no problems from 1958.
Tell me about some of the good old days. Tell me what you did in those good old days coming to Missouri Beach.
We just had a good time. You know how we used to do. They used to play the bongo drums and dance and
bring food
and alcohol.
And look good. Okay.
Don't forget the drinks.
And looking good, right?
That's what we did, and had fun. Had a lot of fun on Atlantic, on Missouri Avenue Beach. Chicken Bone Beach, what we used to call it. They're trying to change the name to Missouri Avenue Beach, which I have no problem with that because all the other beaches, like Mr. Hunter said, are named after the streets that they're on.
But we just remember it that way.
Yeah, but we remember Chicken Bone. And I still go to the beach. We have a place now where blacks hibernate. We can join now at the Inlet Beach. And it's a very small area, very small beach. It reminds you of the Inkwell. You ever see the movie Inkwell? They're doing an anniversary, 25-year anniversary of the Inkwell in Miami this week. Mm-hmm. And that's beach that we go to now reminds you of that movie. Mm-hmm. Y'all ever seen that movie? Y'all should come and visit with us one Sunday afternoon in our living room. Okay. We call it our Sunday afternoon living room, Trudy.
Okay.
And we all congregate and have fun. And we turn the music on and we dance.
Just like we used to do.
Just like we used to do. And I'll be 80 years old next year, and I'm proud to say I'm still doing it.
Good for you. Good for you. Judge Graham, thank you for this interview. You're an important person, but I'm going to take you back a few years when we were all enjoying a good time here in Atlantic City. You were born here.
Yes, I was born and raised in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
And then things happened, and you're now living?
I live in Indianapolis, Indiana.
And you're the first judge?
In my family, my brother Damon Tyner was a Superior Court judge here in Atlantic County. He's the first African-American prosecutor of Atlantic County, New Jersey.
And where are you now as a judge?
I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana.
And give me your full name and your title.
Clayton Graham, Superior Court judge for the state of Indiana.
And the first?
Yes.
There.
Well, no, I'm not the first African-American judge there, but I am one of several African-American judges.
Well, congratulations. But I'm going to take you back a couple of years when we were all enjoying ourselves at Missouri Beach, known to some of us, or most of us, as Chicken Bone Beach. When did you come here?
Well, I was born in 1955, and my mother told me that she used to take me on the beach as early as 3 years of age. So we would go up to the beach, and then my brothers and sisters as well, because that was a free form of entertainment. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons we used to go up there is because of the ocean breezes. And in the evening, my mother could rest assured that we would want to go to bed early and go to sleep.
Well, when you got to the age where you knew what was happening, what kind of fun did you have?
Oh, I had lots of fun. We'd go up in junior high school, and it was also a way to meet girls and have fun. So we would go up all the time.
I don't remember seeing you there, but you took part in all of the fun.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I went up there just about every weekend that I could get there, and I didn't grow here. I didn't grow up here, but when I started coming to Atlantic City, I knew that was the place to go to find who was where and who was down here, and the wonderful times that we had with the lunch and all of the girls dressing up and posing and all that. Tell us about it.
Well, that's correct. A lot of entertainers who would come into town, who would perform at the Club Harlem or the Wonder Gardens or at Edge Hills, they would come during the daytime. They would spend time at Chicken Bone Beach, and then they would have their performances in the evening. So it was a place to be seen. A lot of people would come throughout New York, Philadelphia, North Jersey, South Jersey, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Maryland, and so forth.
Had the whole country.
Had the whole country, the eastern seaboard, and quite a bit of the southeast, from Virginia on up.
I know you have a lot of friends that have been here also, but did you come down as groups, and what did you bring?
Yes, we would come down as groups, and we would often bring our lunch, and sometimes our parents.
I saw people actually cooking on the beach.
Well, we didn't cook on the beach, but we did bring chicken, potato salad, and things of that nature, and iced tea and lemonade.
Okay, and you'd go around to each little group, and everybody would say, "Come on in and have some."
Absolutely. There were blankets throughout the beach, and if you knew certain people, you would end up going over to their blanket and talking to them, sharing stories, and also partaking in the different food that they had, as well as drinks.
Well, we certainly miss you here in this area. We want to congratulate you on your new entitlement, and you look great.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to come back home. And it's even more of a pleasure to be interviewed by you, and wish you many more years and good health.
Judge, I need them. Thank you. Maybe people don't know that not only are you one of my very dear friends, in fact, sister, your sister, but they also may remember you as a very famous model.
Oh, please.
In Philadelphia.
In 1810.
in Philadelphia.
Mm.
And she was also my maid of honor when I got married.
And her husband stayed with me the night before he got married to her.
And she was married to a young man that we all know, Lloyd Price.
Staggerly.
Mm-hmm. Lordy Miss
Claudy.
And we'll talk about him afterwards. But we were also neighbors down in down in Atlantic City, and we lived. She had one house, I had the other house, but our fun was on Missouri Beach.
The beach. Yes.
Why do you remember it so fondly?
Because it was fun. It was fun, and it was different.
Yeah. You took part in some of the things there too, didn't you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And since then, you've moved down here.
Yes. Well, during that time, you had a summer home down there, and I had a summer home. I lived in Philadelphia, but our summer homes were here. And then after I got married, I came down here and lived for a minute.
What do you remember mostly about Chicken Bone Beach, except just the fun? For me, it had a significance that even though we were shut out of a major ocean in this country, we only had a little spot that we could enjoy, but we also came in style.
We were in style, and Every black person that was somebody came to Chicken Bone Beach. You could see Cab Calloway, you could see Lena Horne, you could see any of those people on Chicken Bone Beach.
And
They
that's
just
what I
came.
mean by style. And not only did they come because they were important, but they looked important and they acted important. I saw more Cadillacs
Yeah.
parked out on the main street, and places that we would all end up going, like the club, Harlem Club,
Harlem.
and you had to pay somebody to get a good seat because everybody else was slumming.
For the breakfast show.
Yep.
I always wanted to get old enough to go to the breakfast show. And when I finally went, I went to see, who's the man, Heidi Ho?
Cab Calloway.
No, that's not Cab. Is it Cab Calloway?
Yeah.
I was so disappointed.
Well, we'll leave him out of the discussion. He wasn't fun. But anyway, Kwanda and I have very long, wonderful memories of being together, and of course of Missouri Beach. And thank you for arranging this with Mr. Hunter for us to come down and do a story.
Oh, that's my buddy. At Ralph Hunter, boy, he takes me out.
Okay. He's robbing the cradle. That's what he's doing. Okay. We're very proud today to present to you a longtime friend, but also a retired judge of the Traffic Court of Philadelphia, Thomasine Haynes. I got it right.
Yes, dear.
And it's so nice to see you. Girl, you look great.
Oh, listen.
You look
I
great.
feel great. We say, well, 18 does the rest sometimes help you to get to
But
look
your
like this.
spirit is there.
Oh,
Your
yeah. I got
spirit
fire in the
hasn't been
belly.
broken.
No, I have fire in the belly I've had all my life. It seems like it's getting worse. Since I get older, I guess it's more cantankerous, like as people say you are, whatever.
Whatever.
Hmm.
So whatever is in front of you now, that you're here and you're back in circulation, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I was thinking about running for a city council. I got signatures to run for city council large, but then I decided not to run due to the fact that people didn't want to hear about what some things I wanted to do as far as being a council member compared to the things that had happened in my life. And I just didn't want to deal with the negative and then deal with the positive. I had some ideas about what to do with the homeless that I read about. It seems like in Canada, they took a lot of the old buildings and converted them
Yes.
into 400 square foot where the homeless people, they would bring them in. And they felt safe because a lot of people don't like going to the shelters. They feel that things can happen to them
It
when they
does.
sleep. But they were able to use their thumbprint to enter their room, which the room was consisting of like a Murphy bed. It had a little area where you had your refrigerator and sink, things like, and also there was like a community where you could wash up. But there was an area that you could take a shower and things of that sort. And they felt more comfortable, and I was able to bring the homeless people off, the streets. Is education. I just think that now our children missed out on the computer age, like Silicon Valley. But now they need to be taught about how we repair robots. We have drones. All that new technology, I think, children would be interested in if they had opportunity. And none of the, I think, public education, or even charter schools, I guess, are not giving the children that insight of the future, which we really need. So there was a couple things that I had looked into to feel that trying to go into 22nd age, I guess it is, space programs. I remember years ago in Florida there was a school that a lot of the coming out of high school, either going into college, were interested in this space as far as NASA is concerned. It seems that we are still with the old way, and the children are not interested. I think that they would want to come to school. Like a lot of times they say the truancy is bad at times. Well, there's no interest that I think compared to what we are in technology, compared to what they're teaching in the schools nowadays. So, but I decided, well, I can maybe help some of the other councilmen. Whoever gets elected, maybe I can be a consultant to all of them, because I do read a lot. I read 4 or 5 newspapers a day. The Inquirer, the Daily
I don't know
News.
why.
I
Nothing
do.
interesting.
Well, no, because
I'm
the
only
reason
kidding.
is that you see what other things that you may miss.
Yes.
I get the paper and flip through it. I don't go on the internet. And I read all the papers basically, and I get New York Times, I get the Time magazine, only because in different sections that you read about health, you read about a lot of things that are happening,
Yes.
and it gives me a real vast knowledge of global things that are happening that we don't pay attention to because we sometimes focus on one type of entity. You know, we talk about the gangs or the shootings or what else is going on, but there's a lot that I think that we could help maybe the other council people who don't have time to read or sometimes have time to research that maybe what is interest to the people of the community.
I've always been concerned in doing what I do about the little things that we don't know about everyday things that happen to us.
Right.
And you've come across quite a few of them, I'm sure,
Well, yes.
in your tenure.
Yeah, well, I tell you truthfully, what I would like to do is to maybe work in the high schools now. People getting to graduate, or if they're 16, 17, getting their driver's license. You get your driver's license, but I like to let them know what can take it from you. Because driving license, you're having to driving privileges is not a right, it's a privilege. People don't understand the difference in rights and privileges, to the point that it can be taken away from you. You can be suspended and not be able to drive for many years if you do not know how to handle if you get one citation. You can maybe, say you run out and you leave your wallet home or something and you stop and you don't have your driver's license. Well, you have a license. You may get a ticket for fail to carry. Now, you may think that's something to think about, but you need to pay that because it is a violation. If you say, oh, I got my license, I'm not going to worry about that, that stays on your record. So if you pay for it or either go to court and try to fight it, then turn around and make sure if you're found not guilty that you turn around and have it expunged from your record.
I found out the other day that I did not have my car registration.
Oh, good.
And I was driving, my husband and I were driving around without it, not knowing that we didn't have it. And it turned out to be a very frantic morning trying to make it right.
Yeah.
And we finally did, but I had to get a copy and I had to prove something I didn't have, and it was kind of hectic.
Well, that registration, if you don't have it, if it's not registered, a suspended registration can suspend your license.
Yeah.
You know, because what happens, they notify the insurance company that you're not registered, and then it's a whole thing from the insurance company
To
who
prove
they
that
drop
you're
you,
on the-
and then you got to start all over again. Yeah, there's a lot about we are not taught. See, they took driver's ed out of the schools several years ago, which I think they should bring it back due to the fact they talk about.
Yeah, you had some idea of having them put that, how would that happen?
I'm trying to see whether the new school board we have here, that maybe they will have it where I could teach a course on how to keep your license. You know, you can get it, but how not to lose it. Because there's so many ways that you can have your license suspended due to the part you just don't know the rules of the road, is the old saying. And I'm going to try to present that. I hope they do that. Or maybe city council will tell them to put that back in the system where like students will be able to come to, there is a school in Quaker, I think it's called Quakertown School. They have a course for driving and texting, and it goes back to the old-fashioned assimilators where you're driving, and some of the courses that they had something like that at Ben Franklin School years ago. I don't know what happened to the simulators, but they had it where you could sit in there and you turn it on. It's like the old penny arcade, remember?
Yeah.
And you're driving and something comes out, and most of the students fail, not thinking that they would fail due to the fact they think they can text and drive or, things like that, and it came up that they couldn't.
And that really is a hazard.
It's very interesting. But these are some things I'm going to try to present to maybe the school board or the city council to see if they're interested in it, because it's important that down the road your children going to college get any of these kind of violations, that in the state of Pennsylvania. Now, I know in New Jersey, any kind of violation in New Jersey transfers, they will send it to Pennsylvania. But the Maryland and Virginia, they don't send that. I remember I had someone ask me about it, but they do not forward that information to Pennsylvania drivers there.
My dear, it's good to see you. It's good to have you, and we're going to have more from you.
Yeah.
Maybe you should start writing a book.
Well, I did start it. It's just that so much has happened in between. I got about 12, 13 chapters, but I'm going to try to finish it with some other things. I got some things. I'm working about selling stuff. Getting rid of stuff now. I got some antiques, some things I have that my great grandfather got married in 1901, and I have some stuff that there was their wedding presents, and I'm the last of the generation. Everybody's going except me. So I'm looking about how to may I donate some of this stuff to the African American Museum.
And you're still appealing your case, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm still appealing, and I'm still fighting it. The problem is that it's politics. Even
what
though
is it?
well, it's not the law at times, to the point that a lot of judges don't want to, like I say, open a can of worms. And I know my situation where I was charged for a bracelet that I paid for, but it was never told due to the fact that the district attorney at that time, which was Seth Williams, didn't want to acknowledge that I paid for the bracelet. He wanted to know that of course I took it, but he wanted to say that I paid for it because he wanted to go after the other people who had taken things. And that situation is really upsetting to me, where the courts are not wanting to look at it because it involves Seth Williams, involves Kathy Kane, she was the one who was the Attorney General, and it's unfair because, like I said, everyone who knew me, I could afford a $2,000 bracelet. And so when I found out what it was, I called him on the phone and said, "Look, I have a check for you." "Oh, no, forget about it. Don't worry about it." He says, "That's just a gift, whatever." And I retired the next year. By retiring the next year, that's the reason why I wasn't on my financial report, because I had sent a check to pay for it. So it's like misunderstanding. I'm trying to get the appeal, Supreme Court. Next, I'll be going to the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, seeing whether or not they will at least hear my case and show the check that I paid for it, and try to see if I try to retain my pension back. That's the main thing that bothers me, that everyone else kept their pension except me, but they kept mine because I was a judge, and that was the only difference why. So it's very disheartening.
We're all wishing you well.
Well, yeah, the fire in the belly's still there. I will be fighting till my demise.
You look great.
Thanks a
And
lot.
God bless you.
Thank you. And you look great too.
Thank you.